A recent change to park hours for Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary has some guests saying, "What the heck, Disney?" Let's talk about it right after that intro. Roll that intro. Hi all, Keith here. Welcome to the video. Before we go too much further, make sure you pause the video and click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Alright, so let's talk about those extra magic hours that has some guests saying, "What the heck, Disney?" I mean, why is it so controversial? Well, the controversial part is Disney announced that these extra magic hours in the evening would only be for Deluxe or Deluxe Villa Resort guests. Now, I do realize that this was announced back in early July, but much like the noodles at Ohana, if you know, you know, I wanted to wait and make this video just in case Disney made any changes to this announcement. And to date, they still haven't updated this policy, but I'll keep you posted if they do. Anyway, back to the extra magic hours controversy. Now, the first thing to note with this is that they did announce at the same time that extra magic hours in the mornings would be available for all resort guests, including partner hotels. So I personally think that that alone is a great benefit. I mean, do you know how many rides you can get in during the extra magic hours in the mornings? At the Magic Kingdom, I think our record is 5 rides in the extra magic hours. So you can get a lot done early in the mornings because no one wants to get up early on their vacations. So that's definitely not a perk to overlook. But some people are still upset that the Deluxe and Deluxe Resort Villa guests are getting in later in the evening. And just to be clear, I'm not personally upset at Disney for this move, but let's deep dive into what I see is happening here, and I hope it helps the people that are still kind of angry at Disney about this. The most obvious thing is that Disney is a company, right? And they're out to maximize profits. But Keith, wouldn't they maximize profits by adding volume? Not necessarily, and here's why. Disney has suddenly been pricing people out of things for many years now. I really first noticed it with the Disney Cruise Line stuff. For example, a 4-night Bohemian cruise on the Disney Dream in 2018 cost about $2,100 for an inside cabin. The same cabin, same cruise, same ship in 2022 is $4,700. Yikes. Now, they have been doing this subtly at the parks too, right? The obvious thing that people see is the ticket prices increasing year over year, but I would argue that the ticket prices are more closely tied to operation costs, and here's what I mean. For this example, we're going to look at Universal Orlando and Walt Disney World since they're two competitors in the same market, and this is just going to highlight a point I want you to get here. So a single day ticket back in 2003 at Walt Disney World and Universal Studios Orlando was $50 per adult for a single day. That same ticket today at Universal costs $109, and at Walt Disney World costs $109. Now, you can't blame inflation alone because that $50 in 2003 would be worth about $73 in today's money. So if you're doing the math, there's a $36 increase on top of what the inflation would normally be. So to me, that $36 isn't going in Universal or Disney's pocket, it's going to cover the cost of operations for the parks. Now, here's where things get a little different. Resort pricing. Let's compare like the deluxe level resorts at Universal to Walt Disney World. We're going to use Portofino Bay at Universal, and we're going to use the Polynesian Village at Walt Disney World. Back in 2003, the lowest cost room at Portofino Bay was about $260. Today, that same room at Universal is approximately $310, so about a 19% increase. Now let's look at the Polynesian Village at Walt Disney World. Back in 2003, it cost about $300 to stay at the lowest level room at the Polynesian Village Resort. But today, that same room costs $560, and during this 50th that's coming up, I've seen prices up to $800 for that same standard view room at the Polynesian. But for the sake of comparison, let's just use the lower number of $560 a night. From 2003 to today's price, that is an 87% increase. Whoa. quite a bit different than Universal, right? But this sort of exposes the strategy between Universal and Disney. Universal's going for volume, get them in there, get the hotels packed, keep them packed, right? Disney, on the other hand, is going for a certain type of guest, right? And Disney is willing to, and has shown that they're willing to, price out the lower guy to get that certain level of guests that they want at their resort. What type of guest is Disney looking for? They want the type of guest that's going to pay for those experiences, like staying at the deluxe resorts, eating at their restaurants, buying their merch, and paying for those little extra experiences that you can get at Walt Disney World. They're not really catering to the family that's going to come in and stay at the Best Western off-property, go to the theme parks, not buy any merch, leave to go eat at McDonald's, and then come back to the parks. That's not really the person that Disney's aiming at right now. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still have a great time not spending all that money at the deluxe resorts and just visiting the parks, right? The experience within the parks is pretty similar for everyone, but Disney's making it increasingly harder for those people that don't have that budget, right, to stay on property and to stay for longer periods of time. I mean, it comes down to simple economics for Disney, right? They know if you're staying at a deluxe resort, your income is probably at a certain level, and if not, your income is probably at a different level. And they also know and have proven those guests in that deluxe resort are willing to spend more money on things, like I said before, like eating at restaurants, staying in the resort, experiences, and merch. And Disney really wants those guests to have the best experience possible. And because they want them to have the best experience possible and thusly spend the most money on property, Disney's willing to create these extra benefits, like giving deluxe resort or deluxe resort villa guests extra magic hours. The more comfortable and more exclusive they can make it feel for those guests, the more money those guests will spend. They've been subtly doing this for years to get the people that they want and to keep those people happy and coming back year over year. And this is why I believe that they're extending these extra magic hours to only the resort guests in deluxe and deluxe villa resort categories. I'm not upset at Disney, but I do understand why some people would be upset. I've seen this happening year over year, so it doesn't really affect me or what I think of Disney. I'm still a Disney stan until the end. How about you? Does this move by Disney change anything for you? Let me know in the comments down there below. Alright everyone, make sure you hang out for just a little bit longer because we'll have some end cards with some video suggestions, and we'd love it if you'd watch another video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Click the join button down there below to find out all the great benefits of becoming a member of the channel. If you want a little less commitment but still want to support the channel, we have a coffee page. It's just a way for you to drop us like a virtual tip. Any way you choose to support the channel, we really appreciate it. Alright everyone, we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Peace and love.